Okay, so very short video. You usually say that it could be an hour long, but no, honestly, guys, this is gonna be a very short video. I was expecting to be able to do about 5, 6 videos today, 5-minute videos. It's not gonna be able to work out that way. It's Sunday, and the wife had to go to work, so I have the kids. So what I am gonna do though is instead I'm gonna give you the companies that I'm gonna actually make the videos on tomorrow morning. And anyways, it gives you a good time to be able to get into them, do a little bit of research yourself, but definitely let's get some updates that's going on here. So now we all know I put up a video on Lithium Chile. Lithium Chile is definitely a stock I would invest in, and give you a little bit of an executive summary. So Lithium Chile, you know, they've had the name for a while, okay, and what happens with that is, if you look at SQM and Albemarle, what happens is in Chile, those are two huge producing companies. And Chile was extremely friendly to the mining industry, and which is why they were able to do what they've done, those two companies. But what ended up happening is that there was some conflict or concern, worries is probably the best word, about depleting water resources, and naturally it's extremely important, especially when you're talking about already a dry area of the planet. And the people sort of rose up to the government and everything like that. But what was stated is that the companies would look for newer technology, and that's okay. These are really good things to happen, because it forces companies, instead of just taking, say it how it is, right? Advantage, of a situation where it's just so easy to do. Well, it forces them to look for better solutions, right? And to innovate or invent, and that's good because of that. Well, new technology has entered the scene, and newer technology is actually all up and coming, which I'll let you know about in the videos this week. But Chile is becoming, because in 2019, this is when like the hit the fan, and when 2020 hit, and retail investors started investing into the stock market, what happened is that, well, Argentina became the mining area of choice. Naturally, anyone is going to take, in the corporate world, if you have a corporate mindset, anyone takes advantage. They take advantage of one or the other, And what ends up happening with that is Argentina exploded. So naturally, you had like all these kind of companies, Millennial Lithium, Neo Lithium, and so on and so forth. They just exploded over there in Argentina. So naturally, a lot of talk in 2020 came from Argentina. So a lot of people, when they hear Lithium Chile, they think, well, it's in Chile. Well, yeah, but Chile until 2019 was like the place to be, and it's going to be the place to be again, because 2020 was sort of a year for them that sucks. They really couldn't take too much advantage of, like the Chilean government, because of the fact of all these disputes and all these things that were happening, because they were the first ones to really go at it. Bolivia, in the lithium triangle, Bolivia is looking towards becoming this friendly environment as well, but most of the stuff there have been private. So Lithium Chile, for me, is definitely a buy. They've also acquired land in February of 2020 in Argentina. It's a huge amount of land, whatever. So this is huge. So Lithium Chile has, the company itself, Lithium Chile, has like 12 to 14 different land projects that they're capable of. And if you go on their website, you're going to see 4 up, and the Arizaro is huge, and that's the one that's in Argentina. Just that one alone could be like an 8. Like let's say if there's a buyout, if they sell, you're looking at like anywhere like around an $8 price point. Now I'm price pointing a lot of these companies between 350 and 650 because you have something like Millennial at 365, and then you have Neo Lithium at 650. So but I mean, I'm looking at Arizaro going somewhere around $18 if there is a sale. Now, there's another company that is very, very interesting as well, and it's Argentina Lithium. Argentina Lithium, um, I mean, just they purchased land, even more land, so more land, okay, and it's going to be a big project. So the thing is there's two things here. This is just the executive summary. This is just my opinion and stuff like that. So you have the name, which is what all the retail investors are used to, Argentina. So now you got Argentina Lithium, right? So, and they have the project. They got the land and they acquired a lot more on. When you look at just these two companies alone, and you look at Millennial being out of the picture basically, and then you look at Neo Lithium being out of the picture basically, you're gonna want to invest in upcoming public lithium stocks. These two for me are big in the lithium brine area. Now, that being said, there's great chances that they might be purchased, correct? Which is the other ones. But we would like to be able to at least get something that's going to go to become producers, right? This is the goal, right? We want to be in a company that we pray can go to $30 to $80, right? So anywhere where SQM is sitting, right? Naturally, we'd love to have a company that's going at the price of Albemarle. Anyway, so you never know. But that being said, Vision Lithium is a company that I would look at in Canada because the American government and the Canadian government together has stated that they are looking to be able to develop like minerals, battery minerals and stuff like that, so they can be self-sustaining. Okay, so we don't want to have to buy from Ganfeng, and we don't want to have to buy from cattle and all this kind of stuff. We want to basically be able to do everything ourselves and have it here, like Suncor and all these kind of companies, right? So, and we're going to get to one that's really interesting there. So Vision Lithium is great, 99.9% lithium quality battery quality ready. Sorry, 43-101. So the thing is that when you look at Vision Lithium, you're looking at a spodumene deposit, which is hard rock, so it's not the same as liquid brine, which means that they have a higher cost. Okay, and this is what happened for Nemaska Lithium. Nemaska, what ended up happening there is because they were a spodumene hard rock, it cost more to be able to extract, and from that, when the lithium went down, the price of lithium went down in 2019. Well, they hit a wall, and that's what happens if the lithium price goes down and a company doesn't have money or is in massive debt or something like that. You could end up like holding, or losing everything like the shareholders did for Nemaska. And that's a very interesting story. Now, not interesting to people who lost money, that's for sure. All right. But Vision Lithium is extremely inexpensive. If you purchase something like 10,000 shares at what it's at, if it's at 19 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents, I mean, if it's at 10 cents, $1,000 gets you 10,000 shares. If it's at 20 cents, well, $2,000 gets you 10,000 shares. But the thing is that the more demand that we're going to have for lithium, all right, the price of lithium is going to increase because we just in the next 5-7 years we don't have it. As you've seen, prices of lithium is already going up. Therefore, a company like Vision Lithium is no longer in danger. If the price was at the prices they are now, that would not happen in Nemaska. And you can't compare the two companies because you have to look at, well, what was their debt, what was their capabilities. I mean, were investors even interested in lithium in 2019? Let me tell you, not like they are today. All right, and 2020, call it what you want, COVID-19 hell, the Great Reset, basically the Green Revolution or the Green Agenda, call it whatever you want. Basically, the Paris Accord Agreement in 2020 basically became the focus point. You know, all these car companies at that point put it out there. Like, we got stuck watching the internet. It's funny how, as we get stuck watching the internet, it's how they released all this information that we're eliminating ICE vehicles by these dates. All right, so internal combustion engines by all these dates. And then the next thing you know, we're like, oh, okay. And then you hear like BlackRock, sure, if you want to invest in oil, go for it, but that's not the future, and that's not where we want to go. We want to go for green, green tech. So they're not taking money to go into oil, stuff that is negative for the environment. That's just incredible. That sends a huge thing. We're talking about BlackRock. Like, this is massive investment company, all right, with worth assets like, anyways, insane. So definitely, I'm looking at Vision Lithium having massive, and if you really look at liquid brine versus hard rock, there's more purity inside of it, all right, whereas the liquid brine, you have to bring it up to the purity. So there's pros and cons in both, all right, but I'm looking at the possibility of Vision Lithium becoming a producer because of the fact we need to hold our own. American and Canadian government have stated that that's what they plan on doing, but it's going to be like North American deposits. So I'm looking at maybe the stuff that's going to be down south, South America. I'm looking at that stuff probably being picked up by the Asians. So I'm looking at China maybe, or cattle, Ganfeng, and all these companies like Xijing, all these types of different, LG. I think they're probably going to be picking up these companies anywhere between $3 and $10. Okay, so but this is a massive advantage for making lots of money, because if you own like 10, 20, 30,000 shares, and they're all at like 40 cents, 50 cents. I mean, you put $4,000 at 40 cents, okay, and you have yourself 10,000 shares. That sells at $5. Do the math. You just made yourself over $50,000 or $50,000. You made yourself over $50,000. The point is that it's great opportunity investment, and you take that money eventually and you use it for bills, debts, anything that you have. At the same time, great investment opportunities as a vehicle in other different types of stocks. Anyways, that's why. So for me, Vision Lithium is definitely something that I have invested in. Just to let you know, all these companies, I have invested in them because I believe in them, just like I believed in Lithium. And I'm telling you, if they wouldn't have been bought out, it would have been huge. But this is an unfortunate series of events, because if International Lithium would have held on to their 20% shares in the Mariana project, not selling it out to Ganfeng, I really believe that Ganfeng would, because now they own 100% of a project, right? So they're going to produce for themselves on the Mariana deposit, which is a huge deposit. So I think they would have probably counterbidded CATL for Millennial, because they had put down the bid for Millennial, if my memory serves me correctly, before International Lithium gave up their 20%. Their 10% that they owned, and then there are 10% that they had as rights for ownership. So they put their bid in to Mariana. They put their bid in to Millennial at I think 330 or something like that. And then what ended up happening is International Lithium was at the next level. All right, they were just right there to produce. They got the permits. They have everything. They were there. So Ganfeng goes in with International Lithium and says, well, you know what do you want to do? And International Lithium sold their shares to them, sold all the rest. Now Ganfeng has 100% wholly owned their own deposit that they can do whatever they want with. So why would they have to pick up Millennial? Well, Ganfeng is a lithium hoarding, I call it, lithium producing company. That's what they do. And yes, they could have went in with Millennial, but they didn't really need to. They have 51% of LAC, Lithium Americas, and then they have all the Mariana that they have to build up anyways. So it's already a lot to do. So they didn't need to counterbid CATL. So say CATL came and counterbidded, they're like, well, I don't need that deposit. Whatever. And maybe, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. Maybe the Chinese government got involved and said, hey, listen, CATL, because if you noted the history of CATL, the Chinese government was highly involved in the beginnings of CATL, not allowing any other battery producers or anything like that. They wanted to build up a mega giant battery producer, and all EV companies that went to a battery producer was all CATL. And so you have to look at the background. That's why I'm saying you never know what happened. It's highly possible. Phone calls behind the scene too. And CATL comes in. They get it. Now you have Ganfeng that owns the Mariana one that International Lithium was in. CATL now owns 100% of their own, which was like right up to production. So fully permitted, 99.98, I think, percent. So even higher than NLC's quality, because NLC's was at 99.86, 99.9% in the end. They once rounded out. But the one at Millennial, well, that one there was at 99.98%. So you have a huge deposit, and then you have quality, fully permitted. CATL just goes and jumps into that. Now they have to get that one all up and running, right? They got to get that one to producing. So why would they need to stay in Neo Lithium? They don't need to, right? So what ends up happening is that this other company, Vision, comes in. So look, 3 Asian companies come in. Vision comes in and buys a deposit that Neo Lithium had, one on the executive board, and then have one person in the executive, like within the management area, and then they had another one that was boots on the ground, just to make sure the project. So this project was very closely watched by NLC, so they knew what was there. And when the votes came in, it was all unanimous, yes, to sell it out. Well, that would mean that NLC was, CATL was one of them that voted to sell it out. Because you know what that proves right there is that they didn't need it anymore. Now, if all these unfortunate series of events, if it didn't happen the way it did, and CATL was still with NLC, well, now you're looking at the largest battery producer on the planet just siphoning like an anteater, right? Just siphoning up all the lithium there. I mean, NLC would have been making like big money immediately. They're already their earnings positive already and everything. You go look at all these other companies out there; they're all negative earnings. They're like, and then all of a sudden you go into NLC, they're like a 14 million earnings for 2020. So, and then the other years before that, they still had some earnings that were smaller, but they were still in positive earnings. Whereas most of these guys are all like negative. So you were looking at a giant. So we lost out on that. But what's going to happen is that there's going to be a spillover effect. People are going to get out of all these companies, and they're going to be looking for the next big ones. Fine, let them go into Argentina Lithium. Let them go to Lithium Chile. I'm in both those companies as well. And if they go to production, amazing. But even if they get sold at like $650 or whatever, and I have 10,000 shares in each one, well, you know what? That's $65,000. That's $50,000. Whatever the hell they're sold at, right? So that's why I'm saying to everybody, like, if you're going to get into these ones here, do your due diligence, stuff like that. But the possibility is there, all right? And they might get acquired. They might go to production. We don't know. We'll see what happens. But if you own like 10, 20,000, 30,000 shares at these prices, and if it does shoot up there, because I'm expecting for that to happen, well, you know what? You made a hell of a lot of money. Vision Lithium in Canada, a Canadian company that bought out some of the Nemaska mines, all right, the lithium deposits from Nemaska when Nemaska went bankrupt. So you look at, and they have the Godslith. Listen, that's another company, Vision Lithium, that I'm thinking, but that's going to be more isolated to us. So Vision Lithium is going to be more towards us. I do not believe that they will be bought out by an Asian company. I think that these ones here are going to stay for us, and they're going to become for our own vehicles. Now, those are 3 companies I'm investing in. Now, one that I think that's going to be probably the biggest in between all those in that portfolio is going to be another one called E3 Metals. So E as in Echo, 3 Metals. This company here, I don't know if you've heard of direct lithium extraction. Well, if you looked at Battery Day, direct lithium extraction was something, there was 3 different processes. And Elon Musk had said on Battery Day that they just didn't have the technology for that yet. But now we have E3 Metals that has proprietary, all right, ion exchange, which allows them to use direct lithium extraction. When you go see E3 Metals, what you're going to find very interesting is that we do not even have a pre-feasibility study up yet. All we have is a direct economic assessment, and by people that are qualified. If you go and look, you're going to see all the stamps, the whole 9 yards. You're going to see people from the oil industry that are on board, right? And this is all happening in Alberta, a Calgary company, and this is happening in Alberta, okay? And they are using this ion exchange to siphon, to just suck up the lithium. They don't need to create ponds. They do not need to create a mine. They go into oil areas, they call them tailings or whatever you want to call them. They use the ion exchange that they have proprietary patents to, which is their own, and they just go in. It's able to molecularly change to be able to allow to focus on the lithium within that deposit, and they just suck it up. So like the lowest cost in all the industry. This is a lower cost than liquid brine down in South America. And of course, naturally, if it's lower than brine in South America, then it's going to be lower than spodumene, which is the hard rock. So you look at the lowest cost. They don't have to use they don't have to use water. They don't have to use all these things that people have to be afraid. Oh my God, you're going to use up the water. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Oh, you're hurting the environment. You're creating ponds. You're disturbing the land. No, it's none of it. It's just ion exchange, suck it up. It's done. Like, that is insane. And the company is over $2 with no pre-feasibility study. And supposedly with the pre-feasibility study done, you see this, my kids are home. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So give me a second. I gotta go and help my daughter out. All right, sorry about that. I won't be editing this video because I'm trying to get it out, and gotta go walk the dog. We got a whole bunch of things to do, and I just want to make sure that you guys all know about these companies. Now, so E3 Metals for me is going to be huge. I really believe that Alberta as a province, honestly, if anyone's out there, you're gonna have to make like some kind of change, or the companies that are out there in the oil industry, Suncor, Enbridge, all these companies, they're gonna have to flip over because there's like a lot of lithium in what's left over after they extract the oil. So these type of companies, they can just go direct, they can switch over, and that's great. But the thing is that they didn't have the DLE technology to be able to siphon it like the way E3 Metals has now. So, I'm thinking E3 Metals has a possibility of becoming huge, especially with this proprietary technology. Could it be that Suncor get involved? Could it be like one of these big companies say, whoa, wait a minute here? I mean, will they just go and just produce themselves? Will they be the new big company? Because sometimes there's something to be said, like when you eliminate something that's like an old company, and you go to something to start something new and fresh. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But E3 Metals for me is not going. For me, this is all my opinion, of course. I don't believe they're going anywhere. I think that I believe that Alberta needs to do a transformation. They have to go from a province that's known for their oil industry, and in the next 10 years, if you go 20 years down the road with all these ICE vehicles, all these countries going, I mean, you're gonna need to do something in that province because there's a lot of oil industries in that province that make that province run. And if all those, like, just think about Car Town, Detroit, whatever. Look what happens to them. Like when all those vehicle manufacturing plants, just took off and left. Pretty scary what happened down there. Huge poverty. It was massive unemployment rate, the whole 9 yards. So in my head, I'm going, if Alberta doesn't make the switch, there are going to be a lot of problems over there. Anyway, so if you look at E3 metals, I'm thinking here, massive company in the future, especially within the next 10 years. Listen, just to show you guys how much I believe in what I'm saying, I decided that I was going to get 10,000 shares no matter what. So I put in $22,000. I just didn't care. I do care about the money, but I was just, to me, I just don't see how Alberta is going to survive with only oil companies in 15 years, 20 years, 25 years from now. And, sure, I'll be fairly old I'll be in the golden ages at that point. Jesus, I don't think I'm too far away from it now. No, I'm joking. But, if in, let's say if in 25 years from now, this stock hits a psychotic range, all right? That's okay. That's fine. Have all these other investments in all these other companies and stuff like that. I will have made the best investment for my children ever possible. And I really don't care because all my other investments are doing so well. Lithium made me, a boatload of money. I really, really wish it would have sold for, $10 at least. And if it would have been producing, it would have been like where LAC is now, like, $30. That would have been life changing. But it sucks. It is what it is. But hey, Cloud MD, I got in at 38 cents. So we'll have to talk about them, another day. But if you look at all these companies like Wibme and all, anyways, whatever, it's just to state that I have a feeling that in 20-25 years, even before that, like a lot of people might, I'm thinking that when the pre-feasibility comes out, this is the 7th largest lithium deposit on the planet, and it's in Alberta, right? This is E3 metals I'm talking about. It's in Alberta, and they can use direct lithium extraction, so lower cost than lithium brine down in South America. And they're in Alberta where you're going to need a transition to come. For me, this is it's a no-brainer. So E3 metals for me is actually my biggest play out of all of those stocks I've named already so far. As the potential to becoming producers and really producing for the European and North American, and includes United States industry, right? So this is massive, massive. Because right now, most of the stuff from Europe is coming from Asia. So there's gonna be a transition and stuff like that. And if you look at Elon Musk, look, he's building the Tesla plants on the 3 different major continents, and he explained why for lower capex and all this kind of stuff. All right, so with all that, research, prepare, plan, execute, and stay strong. You can see my kid's hand in the corner over there. There you go. All right, guys, bye. Hello to everyone out there. Just taking 2 seconds of your time and asking you to hit the subscribe and the like button. I'd like to also direct you to betweenplays.com, www.betweenplays.com, where we put up many different articles. We have 3 different writers at the moment, and we're trying to up the authors. And go to our Twitter account for really quick information at betweenplays1. And we'll be able to get people to pre-market information and whatever comes along that is important to macroeconomics, microeconomics. As we say here, our motto: research, prepare, plan, execute. Always do your due diligence, and stay strong, everybody. Stay strong.